Hi there. My name is Corinne Goodwin. I'm the founder and executive director of Eastern Pennsylvania Trans Equity Project, and I'm betting you're here because you're interested in pursuing your legal name change here in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So let's get started. This is part two of a six-part series that discusses the legal name change process and things that you need to think about or will encounter as you move forward. We just talked about is a legal name change right for you and other considerations that you want to think about before pursuing a legal name change. Today, we're going to talk about the legal name change process itself and map it out for you. The agenda includes understanding the difference between a legal name change and a gender marker change. We'll review the law here in Pennsylvania as regards to your legal name change, and then we'll map out the court process as we discussed. I do want to start off with just offering a quick disclaimer that we are not lawyers. We are advocates who help people complete their legal name change in Pennsylvania, but we're not offering specific legal advice. If you need a specific question answered, you can always contact us through a contact form on our website or an email, and we'll do our best to answer your question. However, we do reserve the right to refer you to an attorney for items that we may not feel comfortable offering legal advice on. Additionally, this program is specifically talking about the legal name change process in Pennsylvania. If you live in another state, like Ohio or West Virginia or Delaware or North Carolina, you need to look at what the processes are in your state. So let's get moving and let's start off talking about how, for most people, the name change process involves two things. First is the actual legal name change. That is done through the Pennsylvania state courts. It's regulated by the state under state law, and it takes usually between 60 and 120 days. For anybody over the age of 8 years old, it does require that you go to court and appear before a judge to get the legal name change completed. The second part of the process is updating your legal ID, and this is where gender marker changes come in. The Pennsylvania legal system only handles the legal name change in most cases. The gender marker change is done through applying for a new driver's license or a new birth certificate here in the state of Pennsylvania. It should be noted that while you can get your gender marker changed on your Pennsylvania state ID and your Pennsylvania state birth certificate, some states will not make gender updates on birth certificates, but all states will allow a name change. Additionally, on Social Security and passport and other forms of federal ID or federal accounts, they will not process a gender marker change at this time. We're hopeful that that will change down the road. So let's talk a little bit more about the process itself. And the first thing that we want you to know is that as long as you follow all of the steps that we outline in this video and the more detailed instructions in our court packets, you will be successful. You just need to make sure that you check all the boxes, that you follow all of those steps, and you will be virtually guaranteed to be successful with your legal name change. We have over a 95% success rate with our clients. And usually, when there is a failure for success, it is because somebody skipped a step. Let's begin by starting to understand the law. What the law says is that the Commonwealth, the state of Pennsylvania, is concerned that somebody may wish to change their name in order to avoid credit problems, a history of criminal acts, or to commit some sort of fraud or crime in the future. Therefore, people are required to go to the County Court of Common Pleas to submit a petition or a request for a legal name change. The petitioner, that's you, must also complete a judgment search. A judgment search is a financial background check, and you'll need to handle that in every county that you have lived in for the past 5 years. In addition, the petitioner, you, will be required to publicize the fact that you are getting your legal name change completed in your local newspaper, as well as in the county law journal in the county where you reside. Now, you do have the opportunity to apply for a waiver of that publication requirement. We're going to discuss that in detail in a future segment. Additionally, the law says that people who are convicted of felonies cannot change their name until at least 2 years have passed since their sentencing has ended. That includes any time for incarceration and your parole time as well. And people convicted of certain crimes, homicide, sex crimes, arson, robbery, or aggravated assault, can never get their legal name change done. Now that is starting to change, and a few people have been able to get their legal name change completed after appealing. If that applies to you, we would recommend that you engage an attorney to help you through the process. The law also gives each county a certain measure of autonomy with regard to actual procedures and processes. And that can apply to things like the fingerprinting process for doing the criminal background check. Some counties will let you use your local state police barracks. Others may prefer that you use their county sheriff's department or the police department in your local town. Different counties may have different procedures for completing that financial background check or judgment search. And different counties have different preferences for the style and verbiage in their court documents. The good news is that if you use the paperwork that is available on our website, we have customized each county's document packet to include these various differences. Additionally, judges in the counties where you reside have a fair amount of discretion in a couple of matters. The first one is in waiving the publication requirement. This is where you are going to have to make an affirmative yet respectful case to a judge on why you want to have them waive the publication. And that request must be made on grounds of concern for your personal safety. The other place where they have some discretion is in regard to legal name changes for somebody who's under the age of 18. Judges have a special duty and are charged by the law to do what they feel is in the best interest of a minor child. Therefore, you're going to have to make sure that you're making an extra case that this is the best thing for your child. Again, we are more than happy to mentor you and answer your questions on these items if you apply for a mentoring application with us. Another office that you want to make sure that you become familiar with is the Office of the Prothonotary. In some counties, this is called the Clerk of Court's office. These are the office and the bureaucrats who actually will accept your petition and all of your court documents. And they can also provide you with some information on localized procedures, preferred county documents, timing on how long the process may take. However, court employees, including employees in the prothonotary's office, may not give legal advice. This includes helping you to fill out paperwork, for example. So you want to become familiar with the prothonotary's office because you're going to be dealing with them a few times. But you need to be making sure that you are dealing with them in a respectful manner. Remember to apply the golden rule. If you're nice to others, they will likely be nice to you. And understand that they're not going to give you specific legal guidance. So let's look at the process at a glance. It starts off with the first action you're going to take is getting fingerprinted. This will happen typically at your local state police barracks or another police station where they're going to ink you up and then they're going to complete a fingerprint check for you. They'll then give you the fingerprint card back and it'll get submitted along with all the rest of your court paperwork. Speaking of paperwork, you're going to need to complete the paperwork with things like your current legal name, your chosen name, your address, and other information that the court will need as they process your legal name change. Again, we have these documents available for download off of the Eastern Pennsylvania Transequity Project website. Then, once that paperwork has been completed, you're going to go to the courthouse, to the office of the prothonotary or clerk of courts, and you're going to file your petition, which is the request for name change, along with the rest of the paperwork with the court. You'll pay a small fee for filing that paperwork with the court, usually in the range of $150. You're then going to move forward to the next step, which is publication of your legal name change. That's if you didn't get a waiver. And then also that financial background check or judgment search. After that, you will attend a court hearing where you will appear before a judge and ask them to complete your legal name change. And if you've completed everything properly, you will be completed and have that name change certified under law. After your name change hearing, you will then start working on updating all of your identity documents. This is your state ID or driver's license, US passport, social security account, and more. We have a very detailed flow chart that can help you with this. This 6-step process is high level, but this flow chart provides additional detail to help you make decisions. And you can download it by scanning and bookmarking this QR code where you can download this form at the website. Again, as long as you are following all of the steps properly, you are virtually guaranteed to have a successful legal name change. Remember, every county's process is just a little bit different, so this is a general outline of the process. Again, all of our court documents include packets that have step-by-step instructions customized by county. We often get specific questions from our clients, and we want to handle some of those common ones today. The first question that we often get is, what is court like? Well, the answer is they are human beings just like the rest of us. They're busy, they're trying to do their job. And as long as you treat the people in the courthouse with respect, they're going to treat you with respect as well. This includes the people at the prothonotary's office, at the clerk of court's office, the judge, and the people that work with the judge in the courtroom. Your job is to go in and to make your case in front of the judge in a polite and respectful manner. And as long as you treat them with politeness and respect, they will do the same with you. In fact, they love doing legal name changes. Most judges are dealing with messy things, whether it's somebody who has committed a crime or a divorce proceeding or protections from abuse orders or things like that. None of that is fun. But legal name changes, judges and court personnel know that this is a great time for you, and they want to help you do it. So just make sure that you go in with respect and a smile on your face, and you're going to be treated just fine. We do get the question about dead naming, and will you be dead named in court? And the answer is it's possible. In fact, it's probably likely. And the reason for that is all of the documents that you fill out for the court contain your current legal name or your dead name. So when you're called up to the judge, for example, in the courthouse or the courtroom, they may call your current legal name or your dead name. Just be prepared for that. On the other hand, we are very hopeful that that will be the last time you will ever have to hear that old name. Remember, keep your eye on the prize. It's all about coming out of that courthouse with a court order that says that your chosen name has been affirmed under law. Sometimes people ask if they can bring people with them to the hearing, and the answer is absolutely. We want you to make it a party. Having people with you can offer you some support. It's not unusual to be a little bit nervous if you've never appeared in court before. And then also, they are there to celebrate you and this amazing achievement that you have achieved. So the more the merrier. In fact, it's not unheard of that judges may ask you and your family or friends to come up and take a photo with them because they want to make sure that you know that they support you in your journey. We do get questions about fingerprinting. For some professions, for example, people who work in school systems, you need to pass a background check and get fingerprinted in order to do that. And the question is do I have to go through that process again? The answer is yes. You really should get fingerprinted again because the forms for fingerprinting for a legal name change are often different than what they are for getting fingerprinted for a background check for employment. So the answer is yes, you should get fingerprinted again. We get questions if English is not your first language. In other words, if Spanish is your most preferred language, or maybe you're hearing impaired and you use American Sign Language, can you get an interpreter? The answer is absolutely yes. However, those interpreters are not necessarily always right on hand. We recommend that you contact the Office of Court Administration a few days before your court hearing to make sure that they know that you're going to need that extra assistance. The interpreter may be a person who's live and in person in the courthouse. Sometimes it's also somebody who may be on the phone. So you should be prepared to ask for that in advance. And then the other common question we get is about accessibility. Most courthouses, in fact, every courthouse that I've ever been to in the state of Pennsylvania is accessible. This includes having wheelchair ramps, elevators, and more. The court systems have to deal with people with disabilities on a day-to-day basis, and they are prepared to help you as well. If you're unsure about where ramps may be located or where elevators may be located, for example, you can always call the courthouse, ask for their general information number, and then they can tell you how to access these facilities. Finally, if you have additional questions, you can always complete a mentoring request from us or email us, and we'll be happy to do our best to help you. So in summary today, we reviewed that name changes and gender changes are two different things. The name change is what happens in the courts. The gender marker change is what happens when you complete your state IDs. You must meet legal requirements and work through all of that process that we reviewed, those 6 steps, starting with fingerprinting, going through the court process, and then finally updating your legal ID. And in order to complete that process, it will require multiple trips to the courthouse. The next segment of our 6-part series will focus on completing all the documentation for the court, and we hope that we'll see you then. Thank you so much for attending today. Have a great one.